My guest at this time is Mike Hammond. Mike is legislative counsel at Gun Owners of America. The group is based in Virginia, and on Tuesday, voters in the Old Dominion elected Democratic majorities in both chambers of the state legislature to go along with Democratic Governor Ralph Northam. The day after the election, Northam made clear that gun control legislation was at the very top of his agenda. So for the next few minutes, we'll take a look at what Northam wants to accomplish on gun control. And Mike, thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Governor Northam called a special session of the legislature this past summer to try and pass a number of gun control measures in response to a mass shooting in Virginia Beach. That didn't go anywhere with Republicans in charge at the time. One of the things he wants to do, among other things, is a ban on assault weapons. And I've seen in some reports that he interprets that as meaning rifles with cosmetic features that make them look like weapons of war. Others say he actually wants to ban all semi-automatic firearms, including handguns. So as far as you can tell, what does he mean by assault weapons that he wants to ban?
Well, as far as I can tell, it's basically all semi-automatics that have one or no features that make them look like actual automatic firearms. The term assault weapon is sort of a fraudulent term invented by the left in order to make regular rifles and handguns sound more dangerous or more exceptional than they in fact are. But we're talking about a rifle which is different from no other rifle other than the fact that maybe it has a bayonet lug or maybe it has a barrel shroud. And those cosmetic differences basically form the a distinction on which the left would ban or not ban a firearm. Let me make one more point, and that is that each year perhaps there are 11,000 homicides involving firearms committed. Of those, probably about 300 out of 11,000 are committed with rifles of all types. Compared to that, 600 deaths occur as a result of knives. About twice that many occur as a result of fists, feet, and blunt instruments. So, I mean, the semi-automatic rifle, as a matter of fact, rifles of all types are a minuscule consideration in terms of firearms-related deaths, but the left has succeeded in trying to demonize them as something they're not.
We're talking with Mike Hammond of Gun Owners of America, and Mike, kind of like the poker player who's already anteed up and thinks he has a really good hand, Northam's now also raising the stakes because, according to the Washington Post, he doesn't just want to ban future purchases. He's also seriously looking at confiscating such weapons from folks who have already bought them legally. He says he's consulting with his Secretary of Public Safety on this and also plans to work with anti-gun groups. So is that even a plausible option? Legally speaking, what could the governor really do in terms of confiscation?
Oh, I hope he goes that route because, as Beto O'Rourke found out, when you talk about raiding someone's house in the middle of the night through these red flag gun confiscation laws and seizing their semi-automatic rifles, then at that point, I think firearms owners in Virginia will finally wake up, and there will be a blue wave, a red wave during the next gubernatorial election.
Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot with exact numbers here, but if you have any sort of ballpark idea, if Governor Northam wanted to confiscate semi-automatic rifles and handguns from everyone in Virginia who had them, how many are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about anywhere from 20 million to 50 million nationwide, and so Virginia's population basically is what 5-6 million, and so I suspect we're talking about something in the millions of firearms, depending on how they define them exactly. But as I said, I don't think Northam would succeed in that broad piece of legislation. I think that, look at what happened. It certainly is a bad thing for gun owners that the control of the legislature switched, but still we're only one flip or two flips away from deadlocking the Virginia House and Virginia Senate. Under those circumstances, I would bet that there are more than 2 Democrats in red districts that are just going to say, I'm not buying onto that.
We'll certainly see. This appears to be the thing he's going to be pushing right out of the gate. Other ideas that he was pushing back in the summer include universal background checks, which you and I have talked about before, red flag laws, same thing, which would allow authorities to take weapons from folks deemed a threat to others or themselves, and limiting gun purchases to 1 per month. I'm sure
you notice how they all fit together. Basically, red flag laws allow those raids in the middle of the night. Universal background checks create a list which will tell the government who has a semi-automatic and who doesn't, and the ban basically is the icing on the cake. Put together, those 3 things create a situation in which gun owners can expect, as a result of someone dropping a dime on them, can expect that raid in the middle of the night for the purpose of confiscating their semi-automatic.
Mike, you talked a little while ago about how you believe that if the governor were trying to go down the confiscation route, that he probably would run into some problems with folks in marginal districts. After all, it's only a 21-19 Democratic majority in the state Senate, and I think it's a little bit wider than that in the House. But,
I think it's a four-vote switch. So a flip of 1 in the state Senate would deadlock it. A flip of 2 in the state House would deadlock it.
Right. So if he doesn't go all the way to confiscation, but if he goes to universal background checks, red flag laws, 1 gun a month, I can certainly see those making it through potentially, and possibly even what he considers an assault weapons ban, although I think that would be a little bit tougher. What's the impact on gun owners in Virginia, and what can defenders of the Second Amendment do given the political realities?
Well, we're not conceding anything. We're going right to those Democrats who come from red districts who are narrowly holding on by their fingernails, and we are saying to them, if you vote for any of this stuff, the raids in the middle of the night, the national gun registry, or the semi-automatic ban, if you vote for any of this, we are pretty sure that you're creating an opening for us to take back the governorship in 2 years and take back the General Assembly as soon as possible.
Mike, we'll be watching. Thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mike Hammond, Legislative Counsel at Gun Owners of America. I'm Greg Columbus reporting for Radio America.